Ladies, gentlemen, and adventurers of all ages, the world of Baldurs Gate 3 is full to the brim with interesting things, those you can interact with and those you can pick up and even wear on your body or use to hit people with. And who doesn't like hitting people? Today we're going to talk about quite a nice collection of items that you can use to stop things from hitting you, also known as, equipment. The goal being a nice couple handfuls of interesting and useful items that you could easily miss in a playthrough, some of them just a little bit out of the way, some of them you'd have no chance of finding without knowing where to look and how as well. Today we're going to go over some incredibly rare books, quite literally legendary books, that can get you a number of incredible spells that you can't get anywhere else in the game. We'll be taking a quick jump back to Act 2 as well to talk about one more item there, then the rest of the day will be in Act 3 with the vast majority taking place in the city of Baldurs Gate itself, so you know what part of the game to expect from this. Without further ado then, let's dive right in with our first item today, which is the Helmet of Arcane Acuity. This one is found under the Mason's Guild in the town of Act 2. If you go to this location within the guild, you'll find the entrance to a cellar, enter the cellar, and in the corner over here you should perception check a little thing on the wall, interact with it to open a hidden passageway, and that will lead you to a room that has a fight within it. Complete the fight, then at the back side of the room over here there is a chest that needs lockpicking, and once you've gotten into it, you'll pick it up for yourself. This item gives you 2 turns of Arcane Acuity every time you hit an enemy with a weapon attack. Arcane Acuity gives you increased spell save DC and spell attack that matches the number of turns remaining on the buff. The idea being, if you are an up-close battle mage type of character, if you like mixing weapon attacks and spells, this simply makes your weapon attacks increase the potency of your spells, especially ones that apply debuffs to enemies that they'd have to do saving throws against. Then second up today, we're moving into Act 3, and this one is actually pretty early in Act 3. You want to make your way to the lower city area proper, head to this building right here, the Sorcerer's Sundries. This is a major location for a couple of reasons, but unless you converse with the man behind the counter, you may not even realize that it also counts as a shop, letting you trade here for another couple of incredible items that you can get for nothing but gold. Again, there is quite the selection here. Have a look through it and see all of it that's there to grab your eye, but there are 2 items here that I really like, one of which being Birthright, a hat that just straight up gives you 2 charisma to a maximum of 22. This hat looks fancy, it's a significant effect for some classes and builds, and it's just waiting to be picked up, honestly. Another incredible item from that same shop then is the Ring of Regeneration, simply making you heal for 1d4 at the start of every single turn. Nothing fancy, but really effective at what it does for sure. Then we have quite the adventure from here for the next few items. If you head up the stairs inside of the Sorcerer's Sundries building and go through the conversation up here, you'll wind up in a new area called Ramazith Tower, which is of course a wizard tower, and wizards have always been known for keeping their secrets in towers. From here, if you look over the railing on the far side of the room, you will see floating furniture in stasis. Do a series of jumps following down the furniture until you reach the next floor of the tower, and you'll be in a room with some traps and a series of buttons. It's worth noting that at this point you can break off from the path here and find a bunch of other goodies, such as a legendary staff weapon that we covered in this video here if you want to see that for yourself, but here we're going to be talking about the other proper path that you can take in here and the other rewards, the legendary books. That said, for our path, you want to go to the western side of the room and hit the weave button on this corner. This will teleport you to the Sorcerer's Vault. Right beside you is a display case. Lockpick it for our first legendary book. When you read this, it gives you a scroll of Artistry of War, which if you are a wizard, you can use to learn as a full spell, or you can have Gale do it instead. It's worth noting that every single one of these is actually unique to the game. When you get it, they're all 5th level spells, and they're not even a part of regular D&D, so you're about to get a number of really cool spells as long as you have a wizard to learn them. Artistry of War then is essentially superpowered magic missiles, firing 6 separate instances of damage, each of which being 2d6 of damage, for a massive total that you can split up as you please, of course. After that, head forwards out of the room to the door across the way, and continue forward to the portal room, and then continue even past the portal room to this next transition area. But take a right here, walk on the invisible floor that is here to find an illusion wall behind the chest that you can walk past, and on the bookshelf in this room is our second legendary book. If you read this one, you will get a Scroll of Bestial Communion. Same business as last time, turn it into a spell if you are a wizard. This actually turns into a Summon Deva spell, letting you actually have a Deva companion hang out with you. These guys have a ton of health, do a ton of damage, just a really solid use of a single spell slot. Then we move on back here to find the restricted area, and that's where this area gets really fun. Get into this room and you'll have 3 paths available. 2 of them are locked vaults, the other one you can actually go through. Essentially, this is just about following the pattern through this teleportation doors to get to where we're after. There are 2 paths that we'll be taking here. The first one is to go through the Silverhand door, then take the Abjuration door in the next chamber, then the Silver door in this chamber. There are tons of traps while doing this, just do your best not to get nailed by them. Behind the Silver door is a lever, you want to pull it, then go back out through the Demon door, which will bring you back to the initial chamber. Except this time the door on the right to the Karsus Vault will be open. Go in here and on a bookshelf you can find our next legendary book, which gives you the Scroll of Dethrone when you read it. You can again use this as a wizard. This spell, again also unique to the game, is just a silly potent Nuke spell. 30-meter range, 10d6 damage to a single target, and that is just a nasty amount of damage to do in a single action. Then finally from the Chamber of Doors, go into the Silverhand door again, then you want to go in the Evocation door. Then in that room you want to go through the Wish door and find a lever inside of it. After that you can leave through the Foresight door, which will bring you back to the initial chamber again, and this time the left door will be open to you, which is Elminster's Vault. Head within here, and in a display case is the final legendary book. This one will actually curse you if you read it. If you found the Necromancy of Thay book in Act 1 of the game, this can also give you a whole nother new spell, being Danse Macabre, which lets you summon 6 ghouls once per short rest, which is pretty nasty good. I don't have that book though, so I just get the secondary effect, which is actually a permanent buff. When you read this book, it gives you a curse for -5 constitution, but if you remove this curse, you instead get 20 temporary hit points after every single long rest for the rest of your playthrough. Just a little bit of bonus tankiness once in a while, which can help with tougher fights for sure. Past that, we have a few more items of note, the first one being a vendor that you may well have no idea actually is a vendor. This vendor is found in the Undercity area of Baldurs Gate, and there are a number of ways to get down here, so I won't dive too deep into the actual how of getting there, but you want to look for the Undercity Ruins Waygate. When you get to this, a conversation will play out and then you will be left standing around, but there's actually a person right over to the left of the waypoint. Interact with them and it turns out that they're willing to trade with you despite not having much to say. They only have 2 items of any note, but both of these items are incredibly strong. The first one is the Armor of Moonbasking. You gain 22 temporary hit points after casting Wild Shape, and all instances of damage against you are reduced by 1 while you have those temporary hit points. Secondarily, it gives you +2 to AC as a bonus, gives you advantage on saving throws and spells. Again, all of this stays active while you are in Wild Shape too, which is sort of nuts. So this armor is just built for Moon Circle Druids, and it's a really super solid piece of gear for them. His other item of note then is actually part of a 4-piece set that will constitute our final item of the day, the bonespike set. This is just a full 4-piece armor set that is built for barbarians and is pretty awesome at what it does too. This vendor then sells the bonespike helmet, which makes it so when you activate rage, nearby enemies must succeed a wisdom saving throw or take 2d4 of psychic damage. This also gives you +2 to intimidation and the unique weapon action menacing attack. Once per turn, massive pop of damage with a wisdom save chance to frighten the target for 2 turns. Then we have the bonespike garb, chest piece of the set, which is found in the general shop in Rivington actually, the town that you arrive in at the start of Act 3. This gives you 15 temporary hit points when you enter a rage and also reduces all incoming damage consistently by 2, not to mention if you get hit by a melee attack, the enemy takes 1 piercing damage just for fun. Then we have the boots of the item as well, which are found all the way on the west of the Rivington area. You can actually just sort of follow the path down to the beach beside the bridge that goes to Baldur's Gate, then all the way on the western side of this there is a cave in this corner here that you can enter. Over there, inside of this, there is a chest that you can find at the end of it that you can lockpick, and inside of that will be the boost of the armor. These gives you +1 bonus to AC and saving throws if you don't have a shield or any armor equipped. Again, perfect for a barbarian. Increased jump distance by 1.5 meters, which has its uses of course, then gives you access to Brutal Leap. Once per turn, as a bonus action, you can jump at a target up to 9 meters away from you and force them to make a strength save or be knocked prone, which is awesome. Then finally we have the bonespike gloves as well, and these are a lot more annoying to get. Back to that Undercity Ruins waypoint that I brought up earlier, there is a closed and locked door right beside it. If you shoot at the bodies that are hanging above you, above the circle, a couple of times, the door will accept this as an offering, strangely, and open up. Head into the area that was blocked off by this, and as you continue forward, an encounter will start, a fight, which is a trial of Baal, essentially. Now this is where things get a bit tricky. There is an enemy located up here that you have to kill within 4 turns to succeed, but also there is this fellow, Strangler Luke, up here on the far side, up top. This Strangler enemy has the gloves that you want and drops them upon death, so you can loot them from his corpse. You have 4 turns once combat begins to both kill him, loot him, and also kill the main enemy, which completes the trial. There is no significant trick to this, just trial and error. Just know that you have to kill and loot Strangler Luke specifically before the trial ends if you want to have these gloves in your playthrough. Their effect then is exoskeletal reinforcements. Your attacks ignore resistance to slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning damage. This in itself is ridiculous, especially if you're playing on Tactician difficulty, where most enemies will have some sort of resistances that need you to pay attention to them. And that's about it then, everyone. A ton of stat boosting armor and a whole full-on armor set for barbarians to run the world with. I hope you've enjoyed this collection of items to find within the game, and I hope having them yourself improves your journey as it continues into the final sections. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.